In remote locations all over Victoria, this is just another day at work for Ben Moore.
So the trick is to give them plenty of smoke.
Along with checking his hives, the beekeeper is going over the basics with a veterinary student.
Every hive has a different personality. So we can have these 4 hives here that all behave differently.
Moore's on the road most of the week, and most of his bees are in areas where there's no mobile coverage.
So what do you reckon about that, Olivia? Pretty cool, isn't it? To actually seeing how the bees respond.
Several times a day, Moore needs to connect to his office and staff, and for that, he uses Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet.
So it's super easy to set up. I can be up and running within minutes. So I simply connect the Starlink with a portable battery supply, connect that to a solar blanket, and I'm up and running and using internet on Wi-Fi.
For Moore, this kind of connectivity makes a huge difference.
As a beekeeper, we're working in really remote areas. There is no reception, so it gives me that bonus to actually communicate with people. Also too, on a safety aspect, if I have a vehicle breakdown or certain wildlife have issues with or encounters with, I'm actually going to be safe.
The key to Starlink's connectivity are the kinds of satellites this kit connects to. They are very different than the satellites used by NBN. Nearly a decade ago, it launched 2 satellites for the NBN Sky Muster service into geostationary orbit 35,000 kilometers above the Earth.
3, 2, 1.
Starlink satellites are launched 20 to 60 at a time in low Earth orbit, 550 kilometers above the Earth. Because they're so much lower, they're much easier to connect to. Low Earth orbit, or LEOSat technology, competes with the NBN's version, and Communications Minister Michelle Rowland says that's a good thing.
We welcome the entry of LEOSat technology. It's exciting. It's connecting not only parts of remote Australia in particular that have never been connected before, but it's ensuring that there are some capabilities that had never even been considered before.
Starlink receivers can be mounted on vehicles like Western Australia's police cruisers and even boats that otherwise would have no coverage.
And up she goes.
Online, there's no shortage of videos revealing Starlink's appeal to caravan nomads all over Australia.
It works really well.
So, is Starlink a threat to the government-owned NBN network? Michelle Rowland doesn't think so.
NBN has around 9 million connections. We're aware that Starlink has in the vicinity of around 200,000. And we know that between fibre and satellite technology, there is no comparison. They are certainly not substitutes.
Last month, the Labor government announced a $3 billion plan to upgrade another 600,000 homes to fibre internet connections. But for remote areas beyond fibre connections, for now, Elon Musk's Starlink is NBN's biggest competitor. Starlink now has 7,000 satellites in orbit and eventually plans up to 12,000 to provide internet coverage across the globe. More and more Australians are relying on a service controlled by Elon Musk, the world's richest man and a key part of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration. Andrew Dodd from the Centre for Advancing Journalism believes that is not a good place for Australia to be.
It's great that there are alternate ways in which people in the bush can get access to really high-grade internet, and his service is terrific by all accounts. The trouble is, though, when we become dependent on it, or when parts of the market become dependent on one person, and when that person is as petulant and as erratic as Elon Musk is, then you're setting yourself up to fail.
2.5 years ago, Elon Musk bought Twitter, now X, and amplified his political views. He's gone all in on support for Donald Trump. Last month, he told the far-right political AfD party in Germany to look beyond the Nazi legacy of the Second World War.
Frankly, too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that.
In the Ukraine-Russia war, where Starlink is used by both sides, Musk has made decisions about when and when not to activate the system. So does this make Australia vulnerable?
Yeah, I think that is the risk. There is a real chance that Australia could become reliant on Starlink and on its relationship with Elon Musk, and it's really beholden on the government to ensure that that doesn't happen.
There are competitors to Starlink on the horizon, but not in the near term. Michelle Rowland says there are no reservations about Elon Musk's control of the company.
No, the government is not concerned. We deal with Starlink as a professional organisation. The fact here is that this is a regulated market in Australia. It's a competitive one. It's one that is subject to a wide variety of legislative and other regulatory obligations. So, no, we are not concerned.
What I do is actually bring up the app.
Satisfied Starlink customer Ben Moore isn't worried about Elon Musk's role either.
He's a very eccentric sort of character, what he's doing and so forth. But if you look at beekeepers, we're all a bit strange and a bit eccentric. So it's kind of, I can resonate.